So by now, everyone's heard the news. 4.0 and Pyro, they're not coming this year in Q3. Hopefully, they're going to release at some point in Q4 of this year, and this video is not going to harp on that issue specifically. I want to talk about why I think this continues to happen year after year. It is incredibly obvious, and they speak about it all the time.
A live environment in the middle of their development. To run a live environment in the middle of game development.
In Star Citizen, because we're running a live environment in the middle of our development, or because we are operating a live environment in the middle of our development, we are running a live environment in the middle of our attempt to make the game.
One of the weird challenges that are unique to Star Citizen is that we're running a live environment in the middle of our development. Most of this is done in private at any other game. By the time they open it up to the players, they're well along, and a lot of those big sweeping changes have been done. We have this continuous thing where, because we've run a live game environment since late 2015, November, December 2015, to this day here, these growing pains are experienced not just by us, which is normal, but by our players, which is not. I see it from everybody, from good people, from the best people who struggle with this, and it's unfortunate, but it's normal. It's a part of our process here.
Running a live environment in the middle of their development is what has been getting in the way of this game's progress for years, probably since the release of Alpha 2.0. But Mike, many live service games do this. Yep. But most of them have stable live environments that can support their player base, while the focus of the dev team is on creating new content or reworking older content based on their players' feedback. Star Citizen does not have that stable environment. And yes, they touted for years about how much of a positive that running their live environment allows them to throw things in a poor state simply to see how we react to it and adjust from there. I'm sure that has some value, but one has to argue the benefits are probably not outweighing the costs anymore. Now, if this hasn't gotten through yet, I'll give you some examples. The transit system has easily slowed this project down by multiple months in only the last year or so. Many Band-Aid fixes are put out until the proper rework is done for server meshing. But guess what's going on constantly right now in the 3.24 patch? Transit has been broken in so many patches, and then fixes have to go in.
Yeah, this technology touches on every subsystem in the game. So transit was busted, stuff was persisting in the wrong locations. You couldn't log into the game because obviously with PES comes a new login flow to get players into the game, because we need to bring your items into a new database. So that entire system was also rocky to get in, because there's a lot of cases to deal with, like timeouts if you have too many items.
Now that clip was from PES, and to resolve these problems, that requires what? Dev time. And to all the people who claim that 3.24 is not holding back 4.0, maybe it's not holding back the entire patch, but it's absolutely holding back the core tech features of that patch. They do not have different devs working on the live server solving issues while other devs are on the rework of that exact same feature. That would be a waste of time. Let's talk about the flight model, the constant need to balance because, well, maybe the marketing team continues to want to sell ships that dominate everyone, on top of having so many ships means members of the vehicle team are not working on taking the flight model out of a place where literally no one loves it right now to a place where hopefully someone does. And then missions. My God, missions. Not only are we dealing with locations, but with AI and the missions themselves constantly needing love. Then you have the idea of doing Xenothreat for the 400th time that needs support from that team every single time they run it. How is that mission refactor going? Maybe it's going really well, but there's no denying that some time has to have been taken out to focus on cargo missions or the new Blockade Runner event at a minimum. What about the rest of the missions in these patches too? Then, how about economy? We literally just had a patch last night stating that you can no longer salvage inside your hangar because of an exploit that only exists because of the lack of the full and proper economy rework being in place. Dev time was spent on that, even if it was 20 minutes. It's arguably a waste of time. And the last and probably the worst one, if you really think about it, long-term persistence. How many patches have they tried to resolve these issues? But because there are constant patches and supporting the previous ones, are they actually able to solve these issues properly in a time frame that's reasonable? I don't know, but so far nothing's been fixed. Now, obviously, I have to make some assumptions. They're kind of how many devs are working on certain things, but I don't think I've heard many arguments against this being an actual issue. To repeat the point at the start, even they recognize it as an issue. And the reason it is a bigger issue now than it was in the past, well, the game is much larger and there are more features that have to be maintained. The more the game adds, the more they can't support it, and the more this will continue to happen, and the more difficult it will be to make the next feature. Let's use 3.24 as an example. This patch, if you include Evocati, is the longest patch that has ever run in the PTU. Guess what the second longest is? 3.23. Do you think this is going to change in 4.0? I don't. So something kind of has to give, right? So should CIG close the doors, tell us nothing, and stop putting out patches? That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, and I said this in the I Was Wrong video, which will be linked if you haven't caught that one yet, is this game is going to get a lot worse before it gets better. We know CIG knows this, but spending 9 months to get one patch out, that was on nobody's bingo card. I'm not going to sit here and tell anyone how to do their job. I think it is just really obvious that running and, more importantly, constantly supporting this live Tier 0 experience is not working as well as it used to. Only CIG can answer this question. But how long are they spending pushing the game forward rather than fixing what is behind them? I think a lot more time this year was spent on fixing up things that are a lot less important than pushing the development past the milestone of 4.0 and on to 1.0. Yes, the goal has to be to get to what other games have, that stable live release. But we can't get there without these reworks that are clearly being blocked by the live experience, the tech that is needed, and the gameplay systems to support it. CIG depends on word of mouth. CitizenCon is their #1 way to spread the word about the cool stuff they've done and some of the cool stuff they hope to do. The rest of what they do is hopefully to keep some of the people who saw that stuff around. If CIG was to give themselves a grade this year, I don't think they would give themselves a passing one. So why should we? Then you have this community of ours fighting other members of the community who are disappointed in the progress CIG is making. You should be able to express your frustrations and issues with the game, how it plays, how it functions, and absolutely how disappointed in the progress that you were hoping they would have this year, that they were hoping they would make this year. And yes, CIG absolutely set these expectations for themselves. There was nothing wrong with having high hopes for this year. With that being said, I'm not saying Star Citizen developers are bad, incompetent, or literally doing anything wrong, but doing the best they can with what they're given. The issue is what they're being asked to deliver on kind of something while being weighed down trying to maintain another thing that, quite frankly, isn't what anyone asked for. The Star Citizen we're playing today is literally the Star Citizen that nobody wants. Not a single person wants the game's development to stop today. Nobody wants this to be the final product. Not one dev or player is asking for this to be it. Can it be fun today? Absolutely. But 3.23 or 3.24 being fun isn't really the goal, is it? Can CIG just shut in and do what No Man's Sky did? No. But they have to start making some really tough decisions about what the product they call live is. And I've said this for years, that they can't keep leaving things to rot forever. And I want the experience to be as good as quickly as possible. But the more I think about it, some really tough decisions have to be made. I cannot see a world where CIG continues to do what they've been doing since 3.0 and ever succeed. Our funding will continue on the potential of the game if they're actually able to show it. They actively worked against that ability this year. Anyway, let me know what you guys think. This is just a random thought I had the other day while talking to someone, and I think that it's a really big problem that they face. And I hope they can figure out a way to solve it, because if not, I don't see us being able to play this mythical 1.0 they've been talking about. So please leave a comment and let me know what you think. Like the video if you liked it, and subscribe for more, and I'll see you in the next one.